In the previous tutorial, we built a simple interactive application with one button that the users could click. Unfortunately, once this button was clicked, that was the end of the interactivity in the application. What we're going to do now is to provide a bit more interactivity that takes additional input from the user. So going back to our App Inventor screen, we are going to go to My Projects and we're going to choose Save Project to update what we had. And then we're going to choose Save Project As. And instead of Hello World, we're going to make a version called Hello Friend. So this is going to be one that allows us to choose a friend and then say hello to them. So everything seems to be as before, and we're going to return to our Hello World, Hello Friends tutorial and then follow some more instructions here. So we've saved our project and we've saved a copy called Hello Friends. We're now going to add some additional processing. We want to add a label to give the user an idea of what they're supposed to be doing. And then we're going to add a text box called text box friend that allows them to type a friend's name in. So back at the user interface, we want to put our label first of all. Now if I drag the label on, you'll notice a blue line is appearing, and that is where we will stack the label. So I want to stack it at the very top of the screen. This label needs to tell us what to do. So I'm going to come down here to text for label 1, and I'm going to say type the name of a friend. And when I click off, it then sets that into our label. I'm then going to drop in a text box. So take my text box, again watch where the blue line is, and the blue line needs to be below the label. Now one of the things I forgot to do there was to rename the label. Most of the time labels won't change, although it is possible to directly affect them with code. So I'll rename that to label instruction. And I'll rename this one to text box friend. Notice that my stack of widgets is showing up in the component section, and if I want to change how they look, I should do that using the properties section. So for example, in the text box friend, I could put a hint, something like e.g, for example, Fred. Now the hint does not appear when we are looking at things in the viewer, but it should appear when we actually put things onto the phone. The next thing that we have to do is to change our processing. So instead of just setting the text box to Hello World, we're going to join together some code to make a little message. When I created these slides originally, I wasn't aware that the little blue widget here can allow you to put more things in. So I've joined and joined together. There is a simpler way to do things. We want to put hello and then the friend's name and then my friend on the end. So hopefully you will recall that in App Inventor we have two modes. We have the designer mode where we can see the layout of our widgets, and we then have a blocks mode that is the code that is being run by the phone behind the scenes. So I need to do some joining here. When button greeting is clicked, I want to set text box hello's text to a joined together message. Now if I look at text here, one of the things that's available is a join command. So I can snap this down here. And what I want to join together is the word hello. I'm going to take hello and snap it on here. So I just want the word hello. Then I want to join in the friend's name. So I can go to text box friend and take the getter. The getter is a little snap-in jigsaw piece. I've got here text box friend's background colour, and that's no use to me. But what I want to do is to take the text that is in that box instead. So I'm going to join hello onto text box friend's text. And by clicking on the little blue cogwheel, I can snap in more strings and build up as many as I need. In this case I only need 3. Hello, Fred, and then a bit more text, which will be comma, my friend. So all of this code has to be snapped onto our setter for the text box text. And you will probably have to connect and connect to the emulator. I already have a connection, so I'm going to refresh the companion screen. And when I then show the phone, type the name of a friend as a hint, for example, Fred. When I click into the box, the hint is still there until I start to type. So I'm going to type Bob, B-O-B, and done. Click me to say hello, and it says, hello Bob, my friend. So I need to think about my user interface and my testing of what's happened, as if fixing is required to improve the user interface. I need a space between hello and Bob. The simple way to achieve this is simply to add an extra space after the word hello. If I go back to my phone and retest, click me to say hello, and now hello Bob, my friend, is what has been created. We're going to try and do a little extension here to some international greetings. So we would like to have buttons for French, German, Spanish, Australian, whatever languages you happen to speak. And we're going to introduce the idea of a layout widget in order to place those side by side. So I'm going to go back to Designer. If I try to put on some buttons, for example, I put a button down here, the name of that button is going to be Button French. I'm going to put another button. I'm going to put it beside. I can't. The blue line is only showing I can go above or below. If I try to put it right next to it, it will just drop above or below. That button there, I'm going to rename to Button German. Two quick more buttons. Button Spanish and button Australian. And what I want to do is to make sure that each of those has an appropriate message. So button German should say German. Button French should say French. Button Spanish, so Spanish. and button Australian is going to say Aussie. So we have the problem that they are all stacked on top of each other, and it's not a problem because I guess we've got enough screen real estate to do that with. However, we're going to introduce the idea of a layout widget. The layout widget that we're going to start off with, we can do horizontal arrangements with scroll bars and so on. We're going to put in a table. So below the box there, I'm going to drop in a table. The table at the moment has 2 columns and 2 rows, which is perfect because we've got 4 buttons to put in. I'm going to take French first of all and drop it into the first of the boxes. So notice one quadrant is highlighted there, and then it goes. Then I'm going to take German and put it beside. And I'm going to take Spanish, and then I'm going to take Aussie. Now, in terms of the layout here, it's not particularly attractive. So one of the things that we can do is to take this table arrangement. We should perhaps rename it to Table Arrangement Countries. And I can set its width to be fill parent. So what will happen now is instead of just being big enough for the 4 buttons, it will attempt to spread out across the entire screen. And then, that hasn't made much impact on these buttons here. However, if they also attempt to fill parent, then what should happen is that they stretch to fill the available space. Okay, so table alignment is set to fill parent, and our buttons are good to go. Back at blocks, I'm going to try making a copy here. Now, instead of building a new version of this, what I'm going to do is right click on it and duplicate. And when I do that, I get red crosses here showing that it's not happy to have 2 blocks of code working on the same trigger, the button greeting click. However, I can change this to a different button. And button greeting is still here, but now I've got button French. And button French, instead of hello, can say bonjour. Don't forget the space after it. Then the friend's name, and then my friend can change to mon ami. If I try that out on the phone, we have French, German, Spanish, Aussie. They don't seem to be spreading across the screen, so something's gone wrong there. When I type a name in here, such as, again, I'm going to go for Bob. Done. Click to say hello. It says hello Bob, my friend. On the French button, it changes to bonjour Bob, mon ami. German, Spanish and Aussie don't do anything yet because I haven't supplied event handlers for those 2. I only have button greeting and button French click. But it should be a relatively straightforward piece of coding to do, to take each of these, duplicate, change which button it's associated with. So if I go to Spanish, and then change the message in here to Hola, space,